So I hope that that is not the first time that you're seeing that video occurring at a Mississippi university with a group of students. I'm gonna say mostly or all frat students because of every bit of visual evidence that we have, taunting, shouting at, yelling racist slurs and acting in racist fashions towards protesters who dare to oppose the devastation of Gaza. We're gonna show you a little bit more video. And it's gonna show you some explicitly racist attacks as well as attacking, I guess the weight of one of the protesters wasn't acceptable. Like if you're gonna be an activist, you have to be in a certain type of physical shape or else the frat boys will have a problem with it. So take a look at this.
Lizzo, 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 Lizzo. You better, you bitch.
Okay, so every one of those guys, and I think they're almost all guys. There are some women in the crowd, but they're not in the front row. Probably a good idea for their future job prospects. That are so angry with the fact that that woman doesn't want innocent Palestinians to die and holds that position while daring to be a black woman, that they have to shout out Lizzo, I guess the only other black woman they're familiar with, or again, she is not physically attractive enough for them, so her political opinions are worthless and she should shut up and go away. And all of this is happening, Francesca, while they know they're being filmed. There are cameras pointed at them and they are perfectly comfortable doing all of this racist stuff, including shouting things like, "Who's your daddy? Take a shower, shave your legs," throwing water bottles at the protesters. And as you saw in that first case, we can maybe go to this screenshot of the guy that I'm gonna say might be Steven Crowder's younger brother. Making monkey faces and dancing like a monkey at the black woman. Because there's something wrong with her and that needs to be pointed out. The fact that he is willingly letting himself be videotaped, engaging in racist mockery of an anti-war protester. He's the good guy in his mind and she is the bad person, that whole crowd. And by the way, like if you have an instance where an individual is standing against a crowd of those, mocking them for wanting fewer civilians to die, it is amazing to me that the crowd thinks they're the hero in that story. I don't know, like I'm reminded, honestly, I don't wanna be a nerd about it, but I'm reminded of like Captain America's Last Stand and Endgame. Like you're just ringed by all of this insanity and you don't back down. You take it all because that's how much you care about the issue that you're pushing for. What do you make of this?
I mean, I think it's pretty incredible where the cops are, right? They're surrounding her. They're not surrounding them, the protesters yelling, these counter protesters yelling racist things. And the cops have been on the side of white supremacy, on the side of violent counter demonstrators, actual infiltrators this entire time. So to me, it's in addition to the out and out racism, which I kind of, it's like, this is a dumbass college kid who's clearly a racist, whatever, he's gonna have to live with that. To me, it's the police behavior surrounding this one woman versus dozens of counter protesters. But more zooming out more broadly, I really have to ask some of the liberal Zionists out there who somehow think that Israel and the Israeli government are on the right side when they have bedfellows like these racist students here, when they have bedfellows like Lauren Boebert and Republicans and Mike Johnson and those who are gonna defend Israel. What does this version of Israel stand for? It is racism, it is ethno-nationalism, it is supremacy. And it is a certain kind of shade of supremacy, but it absolutely is white supremacist in and of itself. It doesn't mean that Israel can't be better and cannot change and cannot be different and cannot be truly democratic. And it's really important to understand, in this country, in the United States, the people who get doxxed, who lose their jobs, who are disciplined the most when it comes to standing for Palestinian human rights are, of course, Arabs and Muslims and Palestinian Americans themselves. But women and people of color specifically, people of color, especially Black Americans, will always be painted as anti-Semitic, that they are somehow uniquely anti-Semitic. Everyone's Louis Farrakhan to them, and like they have to be disciplined the hardest. And so let's remember all of the ways the female presidents who have resigned because of the false allegations of anti-Semitism, the DEI programs that are being criticized somehow now because people want genocide to stop. This is all part of a right-wing agenda to undermine liberal colleges, ostensibly liberal colleges, that somehow now are throwing down with false allegations of anti-Semitism. It is very chilling.
100%. Yeah. And to that end, I'm not gonna go on like a big rant or whatever. I'll just briefly remind everyone of what I constantly do. The way that the media, the labels they apply to things are one of the most important things about what they do. And the fact that they don't define them, they just apply them and you're supposed to accept them, and most people do, is why it's so important. When you label these protests as anti-Israel, that is not journalism. That is propaganda. That is all that is. They are not against Israel in no more way than the many, many people in Israel that are Jewish and don't approve of Netanyahu and his government. Are they anti-Israel? Okay, New York Times reporters, label them as anti-Israel then, because the only qualification is opposing a particular military strategy of a particular government. So just to be clear about that, and I wanna be consistent too, when we're criticizing this reaction of the protesters, if there are counter-protesters and one of them shouts out something racist, that does not mean that everyone in the counter-protest is racist.
Of course.
If someone had a sign, that does not mean that everyone is wrong. But the issue here is, what was that entire group? First of all, this is at Ole Miss. Like, does anyone think that this was like a principled stand about October 7th? Does anyone think that? Come on. No.
They're serious
they
about
like
releasing
the idea
the
of shouting down
hostages.
lib protesters.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
They're
no, those
jumping on the
guys are
bandwagon.
those guys really want the hostages to be released.
Yes,
That's what this is about.
This is a green light to jump on protesters for standing up against, I mean, it could be anything. Right now it's genocide, but BLM, LGBTQ plus rights, Medicare for all, name it, doesn't matter. This black woman is a stand-in for everything that they don't like, which is shut up and go along and stop, stop yelling and chanting about things that you don't like. Just like, that's what this is.
Yeah, and look, I will say a corollary to if you are in a crowd and one person shouts out something bad, that does not make everyone wrong. There comes to be a critical mass where you have that crowd and the entire front 3 rows are there to jeer at the black woman. That's what they're doing, that's why they're there. They're shouting that she's Lizzo and that she's fat and she's a bitch and she should shut up and all the racism and all that. And at a certain point, if you're in the 4th row and you stay in the 4th row, just join the front 3 rows because you're one of those people now. At a certain point, when that is clearly the point of the organization, this is not one person at Columbia with a sign that is immediately denounced by all the people. This is Charlottesville. This is people in lockstep shouting the Jews will not replace us. Now they're not literally saying that, but I'm saying this is not an outgrowth from an organization. This is what it's there for. They are there to mock the black woman for daring to speak up, for daring to exist where they can see her. That's what it's about. Yes. Now look, in the case of this one individual, the guy doing the monkey face or whatever, he was apparently kicked out of the frat. So that's good. I'm sure he'll have a job on Fox News or something very soon, or his own podcast, and he'll make millions of dollars because that's what the incentive structure is in America. But I also want to make clear that this is not just about those idiots, okay? Mike Collins, GOP congressman, tweeted out the video and said, Ole Miss taking care of business. And I want to be very clear. I told my production meeting, when I first saw this, I thought he saw that there were counter protests and he tweeted Ole Miss taking care of business, not knowing that some of them did some really racist stuff. No, he tweeted out that video with Ole Miss taking care of business. He likes that they made monkey noises at the black woman. Governor Tate Reeves says, warms my heart, I love Mississippi. Now that is at least a different video, but it's the same protest. It warms his heart, the governor of the state, to see a mass group of white men shouting racist stuff at a lone black woman. It warms his heart. And you know what? I take him at his word. I think that does warm his heart. And I think it's a reminder of the lingering issues with race that we obviously still have in America. And not just random frat boys, okay? No. This is at the highest levels of the state government. Francesca, any other thoughts?
Yeah, last thought is it's just incredible because they're, from the top on down, Democrats and Republicans are both guilty of it. The fact that you have, these bills being passed that condemn slogans versus condemning anything that Israel has done in 7 months, the targeting of hospital workers and schools and children, refugee camps, right? It has meant there is a green light, not just for endless money for this endless genocide, but just anyone can jump on this bandwagon. When you have authors like Zadie Smith writing for the New Yorker, why this is really a war of words, and in Israel-Palestine, that's actually, words are a weapon of mass destruction. That is a liberal, sort of a liberal expression of the exact same sentiment, which is these students are punching bags, that these protesters standing up against the murder, indiscriminate murder of men, women, and children, it's fair game. And so when you're like a racist in Mississippi, you're like, oh, dude, no one's gonna oh yeah, one kid's gonna get kicked out of his frat. Big deal. There are kids that are being suspended and expelled from schools. Columbia just canceled its commencement speech because people were exercising their free speech too much. I mean, this is so dangerous, John. And I feel and I fear we're gonna see a lot of the ramifications of this play out.
I understand everything about why the media has done to the protests what they've done and why they do it. And it's shades of Iraq and all of that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But as a country, if we have, now granted, not every one of the counter protests has looked like this counter protest. Some of them have been more explicitly violent. Some of them have been more explicitly Islamophobic rather than explicitly racist like this. But if we as a nation if we're gonna focus on what's happening on the campus, we have a group of people that are so aggrieved at civilians that they have never met and will never meet or being killed, that they are willing to risk their entire future to hopefully influence their government to save some of those lives. And then we have a variety of groups that are so angry at those people for wanting the war to end that they're throwing fireworks at them, they're chanting racist slogans at them. And we're supposed to be mad at the first group. How about we take stock? If these are two indications of what the next generation looks like, I'm way more comfortable with the kind that cares about preserving life than those who want people who care about civilians who are dying to shut the hell up about it. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.